Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. This is episode 325. Whoop, and I'm having troubles getting out the door, but this is episode 325 of Far Lands or Bust. Spoilers in the distance. So let's cover up the hidey hole, grab Wolfie, do a little bit of spring cleaning, and continue in a westward direction to the Far Lands on Monday, February 10th, 2014. That is the date it currently is. Monday. I hope everybody's weekends were weekendy, and looking forward to continuing another chunk of the distance to the Far Lands this week. We're at $169,749.50 raised for Child's Play charity this season. You can keep giving at farlandsorbust.com and contribute to a even greater amount that we will be raising up until and beyond, up until the Flobathon, the live stream to celebrate this season 4. We raised $100,000 and then some was our goal. So that's going to be happening on March 1st, kind of a prelude to the beginnings of the 4th year of Far Lands or Bust, which will start on March 6th, is the official date that I first uploaded episode 1 of this Minecraft Let's Play. Long before, well, not long before, it didn't take me that long to turn it into Far Lands or Bust, but a bit before we started actually walking to the Far Lands. Wolfie's excited for that. Indeed. Oh, this sand is too precariously perched. I must disturb it. Oh, you missed this stuff over here. There you go. Well done, gravity. Well done. Oh, this whole bit right here. Haha! I have restored balance to the world. I do have things to talk about today. A stark contrast to the last few episodes. I have news. Those of you who have stuck with me for almost 3 years know that back in the early days, I actually went to, it was like, what was it? It was like July or August or something of 2011. I started this in March 2011. I attended what was known as a NASA social, previously known as a NASA tweet-up, but an event where they invite, you register, and then you get randomly selected to attend a special event at a NASA facility. This one happened to be the first SpaceX Dragon capsule, Falcon 9 rocket launch to the International Space Station. It was to be the first launch of that. I got invited. I went down to Florida, Kennedy Space Center. You get a behind-the-scenes kind of a press badge. It's a 2-day event. The first day was a tour of the facilities, and the second day was launch day. Unfortunately, we lit the engines, but at T-minus less than a second, the computers noticed something wrong and stopped the launch. So I unfortunately missed the SpaceX launch. It happened a few days later, but I already had my flight back and had to leave. So that was unfortunate of that, but otherwise a great experience. Got to see the VAB, within the VAB, that big vertical assembly building where they put the space shuttle together and put the Saturn V together and everything, and up close of the rocket and the launch pad. I'm collecting, sorry, to explain, I'm collecting some flint here because we used a lot of our arrows and that skeleton spawner in the last episode. And I have a bunch of feathers from a zombie spawner from a previous episode. So I'm trying to gather some flint so we can replenish our arrow supply while I'm talking. But yeah. So that was cool, and the highlight of that trip was, that made it worth it, even though I didn't get to see a launch, is we got to go into the OPF, the Orbiter Processing Facility. Careful, Wolfie! Basically, oh, of course, he finds a cliff and falls down it, and he's gonna do it again! Get over here, you noodle. We got to go to the Orbiter Processing Facility, which is basically the garages, the hangars where the space shuttles are kept between missions. Obviously, this is well beyond the retirement of the space shuttle, but inside the Orbiter Processing Facility was Atlantis. And we got to go in there and not just like see Atlantis and say, oh, there's Atlantis. No. We were like as close as the mechanics, the engineers and everything. You were right underneath. You could read the tile numbers on the bottom of the tiles. We got pictures next to the landing gear, the wheels, and it was madness and crazy. By then, the engines had been removed, but we could see the back and where the engines were and the work they were doing, and you could see the lines in the tiles from re-entering through the Earth's atmosphere and little nicks and chips, and totally amazing. Nobody, actually, members of the public anyway, will ever get that close to Atlantis. Of course, Atlantis is now at Kennedy Space Center in the Visitor Center. You can get close, but not, they had to tell us not to touch, if that's how close it was. So that was really awesome. So there's always some sort of surprise like that at a NASA Social. But the point of my talking about this and reminiscing is because there's a new NASA Social event that is open for registration. Quite literally the same thing. There's a NASA Social event for the next SpaceX launch. They've since passed all their tests, and they're actually now an official resupply source for the International Space Station. There is going to be a launch of a Dragon capsule atop a Falcon 9 on March 16th. That's next month. And you can apply right now to be selected for a NASA Social. And the deadline for applications is 9 days from now, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. February 19th is your deadline to apply. Basically, you just have to have... They used to be called NASA tweet-ups, but they've since expanded beyond just Twitter, although that is kind of the main avenue for the social media of NASA. So you just basically have to have social media account or accounts and followers. And that's really the basic requirement. I'm not sure if it's random selection anymore or if they specifically select people who might not specifically be within the NASA community. Maybe they can reach an audience that is outside of your typical NASA followers or otherwise. But, you have to be active while you're there. This is kind of a PR thing. They want you to talk about and post pictures and video of your experience during a NASA Social, stuff like that. I suppose the hard specific requirements are you have to be a U.S. citizen because they do take you behind the scenes on a government facility and blah, 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 blah. So it's just easier for them to get clearance. So they restrict it to U.S. citizens, and you have to be at least 18 years old. I believe they're only choosing 50 people? Might be less, but 50 people. So it's a very kind of an intimate affair, if you will. You get behind-the-scenes access and these tours that these tours aren't available for the public from the visitor center. Behind-the-scenes stuff, I'm not sure what they'd show you now. You get, there's usually some sort of celebrity or something giving a talk during ours. Bill Nye, the science guy, was there. Other people who have gone. There was Neil deGrasse Tyson was at another one. There's always some form or another of astronaut, definitely the engineers from SpaceX and things like that. Who knows? Maybe. Although actually during the launches, Elon Musk is in California at the launch or at the Mission Control Center for SpaceX. So I don't believe he goes to those launches. But maybe he will. Who knows? You never know. But there's always something cool going on. So I would recommend signing up, if you feel like you can qualify. Obviously, you have to fly yourself to Florida, Kennedy Space Center. You have to pay your way there. They don't cover any travel or lodging expenses, but it's a really sometimes once-in-a-lifetime experience. That was technically the NASA one I went to, or the SpaceX one I went to, was my second NASA social. I went to one previously for Juno. No, wait a minute. Juno was the one that I did, and then I went to the SpaceX one. So yeah, Juno, I actually posted. This was after I started my YouTube channel for Let's Plays. So yeah, the Juno one, I got to see a launch of the Juno spacecraft, and things like that. But regardless, anyway, let's go to sleep. And the link will be in the video description as to where you can apply, and there's further details about that. But I recommend it if you're a fan of space, and if you're following me, I hope you are. Let's go to sleep. And SpaceXness. Sure, that sounds right. Boop and a boop. It's kind of a weird... I incorporated the surrounding landscape into this elevated tidy hole. So, continuing west here. So yeah, it's very cool. I paused for like a day or two and actually tried to consider signing up to go to that one myself, but I said at the last SpaceX one that I don't think I'm going to sign up. Having been to 2 NASA socials, I count myself lucky. So, Wolfie, you totally missed. There you go. Oh, now this thing is at the bottom of the sea. Oh, got it. I said that I wouldn't sign up for any additional NASA social tweet-up things until perhaps the next manned space flight, if they have a NASA social then, which will probably be on a SpaceX Dragon capsule. Simply because I want to give other people a chance, and also because it is a bit, like I said, you have to pay yourself there, and, to travel there on your own, and blah, blah. It's not cheap, but for space fans, it's worth it. So I've done it twice, so I think I'll stand back for a while. As much as in my newfound, things have changed quite a bit since the last one I went to, and I see that I do have quite the audience here, but and I'm sure NASA would love to choose me and have me do all the publicity and stuff, but I just can't. I can't justify at the moment one of those expenses and just the time away and blah 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 blah. Anyway, but so yeah, one of you. I would love to see somebody there, a Farlander, at the next launch. That would be amazing. And like I said, it's a pretty small group of people, so you end up making friends with people who are also like-minded, and all with the social medias and the Jell-O pudding pops. But no, there's no Jell-O pudding pops there. Well, there might be. You can bring them. So yeah, that's that. I did have a question, which conveniently I can answer with something I was going to talk about anyway. But Fabian, or Frabin, why did I think that was Fabian? Frabin, that's weird. I mean, it's par for course here in Farlangerbus, but it's like a cube was rendered and then kind of stopped. Frabin asked, are you going to the Chicago Auto Show? Because I mentioned a few episodes ago it might be new car year for Kurt. Beef was very excited. Possibly. Mine is old and has run its course. It still kind of works. Some problems I run into now and again, but and the Chicago Auto Show is happening as we speak. Well, I didn't get a single thing out of that, did I? And it happens yearly. It's a typical auto show. There isn't too much special about the Chicago Auto Show. There generally aren't any new model announcements or anything. They save that for the Detroit or the New York or the LA or, one of the other big ones. They save normally that. But to answer your question, yes, and I've actually already been. I went yesterday, Sunday, to the Chicago Auto Show. Hold on, let me make these errors. Oh, that actually is plenty, to be honest. But yeah, I went yesterday. Went Sunday. It's overall, I after getting home, I kind of questioned, why did I go to that? I didn't really learn too much new. I basically, you go to sit in the cars that I'm interested in this car. Let's see how, you can only tell so much from the stats and the reviews and the prices and the information you get online versus, going to a test drive and dealing with car salesmen. This is kind of a nice in between way to check out cars and things like that. It's kind of cheap. It's $12 a ticket. It's the cost of one of these movies I've been talking about in previous episodes. So, of course, $21 for parking, but Chicago, you're used to that sort of thing. Yeah, I went yesterday, and I checked out some of the cars I've been looking at. Also, some other cars. I looked through the Fords. I know I said I was looking for like a hatchback. It'd be nice to have kind of a sporty-ish hatchback. People mentioned the Fords, and still they did. The last auto show I went to was the 2010 or 2011. I can't remember. And the Fords back then, the interiors were all weird and like so many buttons, and it was like laid out like an alien spaceship. They resolved that, but still, I can't get beyond the fact that sitting in the Fords, your Fiestas, your Focus, hatchbacks. Gosh, I can't say that. Maybe I'm in the mood for some hash browns. That's the problem. They just feel like rental cars. That's the overall vibe. I sit in there and I feel like I am in Florida on my way to a NASA tweet up or something. So yeah, I've never been too keen on the Fords anyway. I did get to sit in the Fiat, the Abarth, the 500s, which is, if you remember, I raced in Assetto Corsa, if you watch those videos. And I did tweet a picture of the interior from about the interior Assetto Corsa perspective. And I'm like, hey, these guys at Fiat sure made a good real life representation of the video game car. Even though I know it's vice versa. But yeah, those are hatchbacks. They're expensive, little tiny little cars. And yes, at least the superfied Abarth version is quite the peppy little vehicle. I could not see myself in one of those cars. A little bit on the small side. I can say it was somewhat comfortable. Oh god, that's a spider, and he's angry. And now he's friendly. He's just happy to see us. Visitors! Oh, hi, Wolfie. Jeez. So yeah, no Fiats, please. Woo, watch that step. Wow, that I don't know where that goes, but I decided to make it safe. There we go. Careful, Wolfie. I made it safe. What are you doing? Oh my god. Good grief. No. So I checked that out. Of course, I mentioned before that the car that's kind of on the top of my non-existent lists is Subaru. Everybody I know who's owned a Subaru is very happy, and they keep them forever. And they last forever, seemingly, anyway. So I was looking at the Impreza hatchback, got redesigned recently. And, it gets great gas mileage and blah, blah, blah. So I sat in one of those, and it's a good car. And, it seems comfortable, kind of a little bit on the more basic side, I suppose you could say. But pretty much fulfills my requirements. The only problem I have with it is it's a 4-door car. I've always had 2-door cars. I just like them better. And the comment I got while sitting in the Impreza is, yes, it's a nice car, but it seems like a family car, and Kurt does not look like he fits in a family car. It just seems like a small family wagon. It's almost van-like in the interior, and that makes me recoil a little bit. I have no desire to be family car Kurt. So very good, still up there in the list. Affordable, great gas mileage, blah blah blah, all-wheel drive, but great room in the back. I like the seats. A lot of the times you get these hatchbacks where the seats fold down, but they don't go all the way flat. These go flat, very nice. Good for hauling around telescope stuff. Get back into astronomy and stuff, or whatnot. I don't know, but come on, one more flint. There we go. Then we can make the rest of the arrows that we require. So that's the overreaching impression I got from the Impreza, which is unfortunate. Slightly unfortunate. But yeah, the sun's going down here, so let's... I think we're going to have to do this on this island. Right, Wolfie? No? Woof! Yeah, there we go. Let's make the rest... Oop. To make sticks. I think the rest of these arrows, we're going to have more in a stack now, but at least we'll have gotten rid of those feathers. Let's make let's make a boat while we're here. And make the elevated hidey hole. And then I will talk to you about a surprise I got in the Subaru booth. Sounds inappropriate, but no. A totally appropriate surprise from Subaru in the morning. And awakeness. Boop. Spelunk. Nice little hidey hole island right there. So yeah, tried out the Impreza. Liked it. Seems solid. Seems like a good car. Like I said, all around, just kind of doesn't match for some reason. Me, I don't know. It's just if tomorrow they announced a 2-door Impreza, just like obviously there's the WRX and they announced the new STI, which they're not making into a hatchback. Which is still a 4-door regardless, but if they made like a 2-door hatchback from Subaru, I would sign up. I would put my money where my mouth is, and I would pre-order that thing. I would put one on order without a test drive, sight unseen, etc. But I don't think they're going to do that. That's not the demographic they're going after. However, they do have a 2-door, the BRZ, which is it's kind of their sporty small car. It's not really a sports car. It only has 200 horsepower, but it's kind of their fun sporty coupe, and it was made in conjunction with Toyota. So Toyota has a version, literally the same car as does Scion, but the Subaru BRZ, I'm surprised they only brought one to the auto show. There was always a little bit of a line, a queue, if you will, waiting to have a seat in the BRZ. But I decided to take a seat. It's a nice, it's your basic 2-door coupe, and I always worried that, I'm 6'2". Sports cars and people over 6 feet generally don't mix too well. It is very low to the ground and very small. I don't know why there's back seats. It's probably some requirement or something, but there are seats in the back with seat belts. But no matter how much you move the front seat forward, there's no room for any legs. They would have to be amputees basically going in the back. Why they bother putting the back seat in there is beyond me anyway. But anyway, I sat in the BRZ, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Uh-oh," because I like it. I actually had to move the seat up one notch. That's how much legroom there was, and the seat, it fit like a glove. Like a glove. So that's scary, that I liked the BRZ. Totally impractical. Barely any trunk space. No back seat, like I said. Not that I really care about that, but rear-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. Just totally not at all a car I should be liking, but it has really, the seats are what got my attention. Very comfortable. They're the kind of the racing seats that kind of wrap around and kind of hug you in there, and it was probably one of the more comfortable cars I've ever sat in that seat. just tow. I just should not be even considering that car. Shouldn't even be on any lists of mine. It's and then there was a guy there he said he owns the Scion version, and he said he really likes it. He said, oh, but you do have to, I do change out the tires for the winter because this would be bad in the winter. So that was his only word of caution, but otherwise he seemed very happy to share his experience with the Scion version of the BRZ. And I'm like, no, stop telling me these things, sir. I appreciate your input and friendliness, but I cannot be liking this car. So that's scary. And before I left, I did have to go back to the Subaru booth and have another seat sit in it. I went over to the Scion and tried out their version. I don't even know what it's called. The F86 or something like that. It's the same name as the Toyota version. But for some reason, the Scion version I didn't like as much, even though it's literally the same exact car. Maybe the interiors are trimmed differently for the different makers, but like it didn't feel as comfortable, and it just didn't seem right to me. But the Subaru ones felt very right, so that's scary. I don't like that too much. but anyway, yeah. So I did that, and I also I checked out different ones. I suppose the biggest. I hope you enjoy car episode, by the way, because apparently that's all I'm going to be talking about. I checked out the Volkswagen area, and it's kind of the only automaker that has anything, a two-door hatchback, kind of sporty, but also, I don't need the sport version. I still am concerned about fuel mileage and cost and things like that. But your VW, your Golf, and or GTI, the two-door hatchbacks are nice. You sit in those, and the thing I noticed about the Volkswagen is that they seem to be built like tanks. Like the doors are very heavy, and all the interior trim is like very sturdy and polished, and like seems unlike my Cavalier that I'm driving with the plastic interior panels that are coming loose and shaking in my face. And also even just checking out the other cars like the Fords. I think I also looked in the Kias and then the Hyundais and things, and they're just plasticky interiors. Just don't seem very sturdy. They've got that rental car feel. That's the one thing that hit me about the Volkswagen. It's also kind of comfortable, pretty basic comfortable, but just like tanks basically. So those are also still on my list. Those of course are front wheel drive, which is okay. There's the GTI or the Golf R, or whatever they call it, which is all-wheel drive, but that's like $35,000, and it's like supercharged and like not supercharged, but it's like the super duper. That's like the WRX of the Volkswagen. So those are nice. The Volkswagen on my list. I also sat in the Beetle, the new Beetle, which is. Again, comfortable, but again, a little bit too not my particular personality. I don't think the exterior fits that. And it's pretty much a Golf, just with a Volkswagen body on it, is my understanding of how that system works. Also tried out the Mini. In 2015, there's been a redesign, and I remember in the previous auto show I went to, the interior of the Mini I hated because the speedometer was this gigantic clock on the center console, and I just don't like that when cars do that. No, I want the speedometer in front of me. That's where I'm looking. I'm actually having to look further away to look what speed I'm going. They changed that in the 2015 models. It's actually in front, and what I read is they changed that because of it's apparently an American thing that you need the speedometer up front, but still. And again, Minis being built now mostly by BMW. Solid feeling car, and felt nice, but again, much like the Beetle, a little bit too stylistically not quite my personality. I like the way they look from the exterior. I just don't think I would look good in one. Does that make sense? I'm very superficial. If you're getting that across right now, no. So yeah, that kind of basically rounds up my experience. Of course, I went and looked at. They had a Porsche Porsche, excuse me, had a display there. You couldn't get in those cars. So same with the Jaguar. The F-Type is a very cool looking car. And Comcast had some area where they brought in, I'm assuming from like car clubs and things like that, the supercar area where there was a Bugatti Veyron there was very nice. To juxtapose my picture in the Fiat, I took a picture of the Veyron and said, oh, this one's a little bit more economical than the Fiat, so maybe I'll get this one instead. And, there were Aston Martins there and Ferrari and a few Lamborghinis. Which was interesting to look at. It was the most crowded and popular section of the auto show was the supercar area, even though they were all cars that nobody there could afford or even were allowed to get close to or sit in. They were behind a velvet rope kind of thing, but I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, that was kind of my experience at the Chicago Auto Show. It's always kind of a strange thing. I'm going to pay money to be advertised to by these car manufacturers is basically what you're saying by attending the auto show. They also had, I didn't do any of they have a new thing they've done in the last few years is these, where you're actually able to drive the cars, like test tracks. A lot of them are, indoors. A lot of them are off-road test tracks for like Jeep and stuff like that. And they have all these hills. I think other people drive the cars for you just to like show off the capabilities of going up and down this hill and blah 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 blah. I didn't do any of those. There's always lines for those, so nuts to those or whatever. But yeah, it's the recap of the Chicago Auto Show here in Farlands or Bust. I don't know why. It's still going on through the week. I think through next weekend. I suppose if you live in the Chicagoland area, a general kind of if you're in the market for a new car, I suppose it's something to do. And yeah, that's another reason I went. It was something to do because winter in the Midwest is the most boring thing possible. It's like there's never anything to do except go out to eat or go see a movie is basically what you're stuck with here. So it was something to do, and it was done, as is this episode of Farlands or Bust. Wow, check out that segue. That was awesome. Well done. Oh, I kind of built this hidey hole kind of weird. There we go. Yeah, like that. So yeah, kind of mentioned, like I said, link in the video description for signing up for that NASA social, as I would recommend you do. Also, and yeah, don't sign up if you're A, under 18 or don't qualify, but also B, if you for sure can't get yourself to Florida on March 15th and 16th. Leave those spots open for people who actually can go. Bling, 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 bling. Woof! Wolfie agrees. Plates the bed. Make another boat, and thank everybody for watching and all the support and the likes. Those always help. I appreciate it. And the comments and the donations, of course, and the questions with those donations. Keep me talking about things here. So, until the next episode, my name is Kurt. Well, my name will continue to be Kurt until the next episode, too, but blah, 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 blah. My name is Kurt. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.